So I wanted to do part two of this topic, which is, riding the peaks and troughs of high vibration, low vibrational energy. Because I know, a lot of people are stuck in this. They get caught up in it and they stress themselves out, and they're trying to be positive, 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 and really underneath they're negative, negative, negative. And it can manifest as passive aggressiveness, and if it's left unchecked, it can become controlling, and in extreme cases, tyrannical. Just like I mentioned in the first video, the Ring of Power, it was all about people who were in this mentality of that they had the right to control everybody. For whatever reason, maybe they think they're smarter or they're more evolved, or they've unlocked the secret of immortality and they've been on this planet for a lot longer than everybody else. I don't know the answer, but to me, it seems like the wrong way to go, right? If you listen to Alan Watts, he talks about the real true power, being in power, is to not be controlling anything, and to be, in this sort of loose flow, free state where you allow the outside to be whatever it is, and you interact with it, you dance with it, and that sort of cultivates and forges your soul on the inside, right? It makes you, it evolves you, right? You need something outside of you that, is not in your control, to be able to truly get a reflection of who you are in that moment. Some of these greatest points in my life have been when I didn't have any control on what happened on the outside, and something inside me came out to deal with whatever was going on. And that's when I really learned about myself. I learned that my limits weren't what I thought they were, and my abilities weren't limited to what I thought they were. There was more to me than what I realized, what I thought, what I consciously understood about myself. And so you don't want to miss out on that, right? If we took it back again and talked about these people who are in control all the time, controlling everything, it must be so stressful. It must keep you awake at night, wondering if it's going to work, wondering where the descent's going to come from. It's like those people who don't live in their authenticity, and they tell a lot of lies, and they manage people's perceptions in a way that suits them but isn't actually accurate. And they must be hoping that people that they know and they've talked to don't run into each other and start talking, because then the jig will be up, right? And then they'll have to do something else to recover. And so, to me, when you're going through these lows, you want to sort of relax. You want to let the energy have its way with you for a little bit, and to reorganize you and move you around a little bit. And why do I say this? It's because, like, if we go into the container of sport, for example, if you're a sportsman or a sports person, and when you get into it because you start learning so much about yourself. You start getting all this progression. You start discovering different dimensions to the game and to your abilities. And then all of a sudden, maybe you get really good and you're on top of the game and you're winning all the time, right? And no one's even coming close for a while. So you get to choose the direction of the game in the future, how it sort of starts to evolve. But then there has to be a certain time where people who have learned your game actually start to get an edge on you and make you work for the wins. Because if you don't, then you cease to evolve. You don't actually grow anymore. You only know what you know. You can only go to the edge of what you know. And unless you're really creative and you know how to flow with things and sort of ride those waves really, really well, consciously evolve, which still needs you to let go of the reins once in a while, then all you're going to do is you're going to box yourself in, and it's going to become more and more scary when that day finally comes where when you can't control it anymore, right? And so these troughs are those experiences in negligible amounts. It's kind of like taking your poison daily. If you take a little drop here and there every day, then over a certain period of time you become immune to that poison. Or if you take the whole amount all in once a month, then it can kill you, kind of thing. You want to ride those and experience those troughs and really be with them, because that's going to condition you in a positive way. It's going to make you more resilient, and it's going to prepare you for when you get to those higher peaks. Obviously after the higher peak there's going to be a deeper trough, right? Or a longer trough. It might not be as low down in vibration, but it might be longer in time. And so it's going to stress you and stretch you in all sorts of ways. And you want to be able to relax through all this, because if you don't allow this cycle to take place, if you clench up and tighten up and resist against it, then when it comes to your turn to reach to new heights, you're not going to have enough momentum to really get out of the atmosphere, right, and into that new space, so to speak. So I know it's uncomfortable. I know it feels awful. I know the voices come up, the doubt, the insecurity, the anger, the parts of yourself that you don't want to admit that's in you, right? But it's in everybody. We all have those. We all have access to all the spectrum, right, to varying degrees. And the key is, in those moments, is to not trying to control it, maybe to reel it in here and there, not let it go too far, get out of hand, but to not try to not have it at all, right, is a mistake. You want to allow those feelings to come up and move through you and out of you, right? It's like a voluntary exorcism. When you hit that higher height, it's going to shake up your energy. It's going to bring all that low vibrational stuff that's still inside you, that's still anchoring you to other realms, dimensions, timelines, potentials. It's going to bring it all to the surface, and it's going to say, hey, like, it's like extra weight on an aircraft. It's like, we can't get higher and faster with this weight still on board. So you have to make a decision. You either keep this and hang on to it, which none of us want to do, but it seems like it's more complicated to let it go because of our attachments. You need to let this go so we can get up to these higher heights and faster speeds. In other words, higher vibrational energies, right, or higher frequency energies. Just to clarify also, vibration I look at as volume, how much of the current and the frequency, and the frequency in terms of pitch, high and low. So, people talk about high vibrational energy, but they may be in a high vibration of a low pitch energy, and that's not good. Like, you don't want to be turning up the volume when you're in a low vibrational state, because that can lead to all sorts of stuff that you're going to have to deal with later on. So be aware of that. It's not all about being in high vibration. You can be in a high frequency and a low vibration, if that makes sense. High frequency, low intensity, low current, low volume, low amplitude of that energy. And that's quite nice too. I try to spend a lot of my time in a gentle, high frequency state. You get some interesting results with that too. You might want to try playing with the dials. Think of it as a dimmer switch. High vibration, low vibration, high frequency, low frequency, and see what combinations you can get in the graph and what they do, and find a nice energy, find a nice corridor of energy that is sustainable. And then when the natural cycles come and you find yourself outside, whether high or low frequency, volume, then you're going to have a much better awareness of where you're at in the whole process. Just finally on this, one of the most important things for me is to have my bearings in this situation, is to understand where I'm at in the process. Often, just like when you go to your gym and you're doing your fitness routine and you're holding posture, or you've got so many reps to do, when you know that you're past halfway and that you're on the tail end of that process, or you're right at the end of that process, and all you need to do is grit your teeth and hang on just a little bit longer, and ride the wave through. It helps a lot to know where you are in the process. So that's another thing to become aware of when you're in these ups and downs, is to keep sort of track of how long they take, because I know for me personally, and I'm sure a lot of you relate, when you're in the lows, they feel like you're in there forever. And when you finally get out of it, you might go, oh gee, that really sucked, but you really don't know how long you're in there. Was it a day? Was it an hour? Was it 2 days? Was it 3 days? How long were you actually in there? And same with the peaks as well. The peaks might not be as long as you imagine, or they might be a lot longer than you imagine. And so that's another area to start to work on, is to see if you can extend the peaks and maybe trim the troughs, if it's viable. But like I said, you don't want to be trying to control this process, because there's only going to be larger peaks in the future or deeper troughs in the future, and you want to be accustomed and prepared to be able to go through those peaks and troughs. So I think that's it for this video. I hope that helps. I know I sort of looped around on it a few times. I just want to really drive that point home, is to not control things when you're in there, to sort of let the plane fly itself, if that makes sense. Just make sure it stays on course, and when you come into land, do the most gentle landing you can. Take your time, slow it down, make it nice and easy. Make it easy for yourself. Make everything as easy for yourself as you can. This process of changing your energy and evolving yourself consciously, if there is such a thing, or at least keeping up with the natural cycles and aligning with the parts of energy that are more supple and undetectable, but have a larger impact on us and our experience in this reality. It's not easy. Sometimes it's downright fucking hard. And so you don't want to be pushing yourself and challenging yourself beyond what's necessary, you know, because from what I've learned, this is an endless process in an endless field of endless frequencies and vibrations. And if it's not endless, if it is finite, it's there's so much there, like it's beyond your comprehension how much range there is anyway. So it's a bit like at the gym, you know, the plates on the machine. There's plenty of weight there for you to probably build up to your peak and then some before you even have to, you know, go outside of that container. So I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your energy, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.